Hello, hello, hello. Kyle Shannon here with the AI Learning Lab. Welcome. Happy Sunday, everybody. We getting started. We gonna have a party. We gonna talk about artificial intelligence. Is it artificial? Is it intelligent? What is it really? No. The topic is generative AI. Hey, J-Word, what's happening? Welcome, everybody. My name's Kyle Shannon. I'm an entrepreneur and a big mouth. Blabbering on about generative AI. Best way to get started learning AI. All right, so let's do this. Best way to learn AI. The generative AI stuff. If you want to learn the machine learning and the engineering side of it, that's a whole different conversation. But if you're like, I keep hearing about AI, what the hell is it? How do I use it in my work? Go to one of these three URLs. The top one is the official ChatGPT website. If you haven't been there, if you haven't played with ChatGPT, go do it. Go do it now. Go do it now. Go do it now. Let's see. Let me do this so you can see all those URLs. The next one down, bing.com, that is Microsoft's search engine, but if you click on the chat button, it's GPT-4 connected to the internet, and you can also generate images there, and it's all free. So that's that one. And then po.com, there's 6 different models you can play with there from 3 different companies. Some of them are subscription only. You have to have a Po subscription. But you can play with 3 of them for free. And then Po.com also has all these bots, these GPT powered bots that are actually really cool. So all 3 of those are worth playing with. So that's where I'd start. And then basically go to that URL, prompts.chat, and it will teach you how to use these things. So it'll give you a primer on what prompting is and kind of what it means, and then it gives you a whole long list of these personas that you can tell ChatGPT to act like an accountant, act like a screenwriter, act like a psychologist, act like a mathematician, all that sort of stuff. So powerful stuff. And then futurepedia.io, that is just a giant list of tools. All right, so that's how I would get started if I were you. Do you have access to Code Interpreter? Yes, I do, and I can show that in a bit here. Let me check out some other questions. Looks like we have a bunch of people here. Hold for a second. Okay. Welcome, everybody. My name is Kyle Shannon. This is the AI Learning Lab, and we are learning AI. Well, I'm trying. I'm doing my best to teach what I know. I'm relatively new to it. I've been kind of deep diving in this stuff for about a year, and obsessive compulsive for about 6 months since ChatGPT came out. I think it's going to change everything, and I've started 12 or 15 companies in my day, but one of the companies I started that I think has some relevance here is I started one of the early digital agencies in the mid-90s. And so the early days of the World Wide Web, the parallels to what's going on with generative AI right now is just insane. So anyway, yeah, let me go look at some questions here. Pop some questions. If you've got questions about AI, pop them down below, and I will do what I can to answer them. Hey, Professor. Race car fever. Did you watch the F1 race today? I mean, Verstappen, but Lando, P2, Hamilton, P3 in England. I love Silverstone. What a track. It's so cool that those 2 English guys won. All right, turn on the air conditioner. It's a little toasty in here. Open the window. Get some things going. How much is the best version of ChatGPT? Well, there's you can do standalone servers from Microsoft starting at $29,000, and I think they go up to like $1 million. so I think that's the most expensive. But the chat.openai.com, just regular ChatGPT. If you want to get ChatGPT Plus, that includes Code Interpreter, and it includes plugins, and it will include connection to the internet again once they fix whatever was wrong with it. That's $20 a month. And I'm not affiliated with it. So if you go pay for it, I don't see any of that money. I don't really give a shit if you do or not. But with Code Interpreter, I think it's worth paying for. And it's $20. All right, do you have access to Code Interpreter? Yes, I do. That blows my mind it can do that. I don't know what can do what. Can it do the vocal form as well? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Hit that like button. Yeah, feel free to hit the like button. Share this live just so we can get some folks in here. We got a good crop of folks in here. I'm starting a little early tonight. I'll probably just do like an hour or so and then have dinner and then come back and do the late night party. We'll be partying. I'm coming to you live from Denver, Colorado. Saturday. Nope, it's Sunday. All right. Professional singer? Oh, yeah. Good Lord, are you watching like all these TikToks of the Taylor Swift concerts? It's fucking insanity. It's insanity. I mean, she's amazing. And then like 80,000 people fucking losing their mind simultaneously for 4 hours. Good Lord. She is a juggernaut. It's amazing. It's cool. All right. Let's see. Can ChatGPT take over vocal form as well? AI helps AI and us. Huh? Not sure what that means, but sorta. Yeah. Nope, the Astros. Oh, you watched the Astros today. Yeah, sorry. I was watching F1 this morning. And then I watched, there was some good tennis on today. What does generative mean? Okay, so ChatGPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer, and then you hear this thing, Generative AI. So here, I'll show you what it is. So Generative AI, so GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. The pre-trained part means it's been pre-trained. You don't have to bring your own data. Time was you did with machine learning. And ChatGPT and these other large language models have been trained on essentially the public internet. So it kind of knows, think of like all of the crap that's been uploaded to the, think of like all of the crap that's been uploaded to the World Wide Web for the past, I don't know, 30, 40, maybe 50 years. That's what it's been trained on. So it knows all the shit. Knows all the languages, knows all the shit, knows all the programming, knows all the information, knows all the misinformation, knows everything. Generative means it's generating something from nothing. So the way it actually works is if you've ever used Google and you're like typing a sentence and it kind of finishes like the last 3 words of a sentence for you, like in gray, that sentence completion thing, that's what ChatGPT is, but like on steroids, okay? So it basically, instead of just knowing, some grammar and some words, it knows all of the internet. And then instead of just filling in 2 or 3 words, it will write you, massive documents. So the generative part is it's generating, right? So here we go. So I'm going to say, write a short story about a guy who finds $1 and passes it on and ends up being a millionaire by the end of the day. Why not? All right, so you see what it's doing there? All that writing? That's the generative part. It's generating that story. And it's actually a pretty long one. Once upon a time, in the bustling city of Metropolis, there lived a young man named Alex. He was an ordinary guy with big dreams but limited means. Alex works as a delivery driver, barely making ends meet. However, he not could, blah, blah, blah. And goes on, right? So it writes that whole story. But it can do other things as well. So I could say, make this an epic poem like the Iliad. And so now it's writing it as a poem. Big long one. Not that long. Let's see. Sing, muse, of a man named Alex, whose fate was changed by $1 found by chance so great in metropolis where dreams did store, a humble delivery driver, he of lore. Right? Then we could say, make a table comparing the Iliad with Curious George, which no one in their right mind would ever do. Why would you do that? But it can do it, right? Because it's been trained on all the shit. So genre, epic poem, genre, children's literature, author Homer, author H.A. Ray, right? And I could say, write me a Python application that generates an epic poem about curious primates. After asking a user for a topic. Certainly. Here's a Python application. Right? And so this is the generative part. And this is, ChatGPT does it with language, but we can go over to something like Discord, and we can hop into a Midjourney channel in Discord. And it also does it with images. So here are someone asked me to do a logo of a flower shop the other day. And I just basically described it in a few words, and it generated this stuff. Generative, from nothing. And these are not copy and pasted. These are generated out of randomly noised images that get denoised into this kind of magical thing. So hopefully that answers it. We can go much deeper. That's really what this channel is about, is talking about all that stuff. And yeah, so there you go. Yeah, the Silverstone, the F1 race was good today. Will AI robots become sentient or evil? I don't know. I think over time they're going to be sentient. There's a lot of people working right now on what's called alignment. In fact, Sam Altman, OpenAI just said that they're gonna dedicate 20% of their compute resources to what they're calling super alignment. And alignment basically means, are the robots aligned with human values or human rights, might be a better way to put it. And if they are, then as these things get more powerful, that's good for us. And if they're not, as these things get more powerful, that's not as good for us. Because if they decide that they're more important than we are, then bad things could happen. But if we get the alignment piece right, then we'll be okay. Now, because there's a lot of open source large language models out in the world right now that are not being controlled in any way by companies like Google or OpenAI or Microsoft, there's a higher risk of malalignment than there was if it was with big companies. But if you have deep-seated distrust of big companies, then that might be a risk worth giving up. It's a really complicated subject because these things are very, very powerful. I signed up with Chat AI on my phone, and now I can't sign up on my desktop. It does not authenticate. Did you go to chat.openai.com on your phone, or did you get the official ChatGPT app? It should authenticate. If it could just be a browser cache issue, so try opening it with a incognito window, or try it in a different browser. I'm always a little skeptical. If you signed up with Chat AI the way you wrote it, there's a lot of scam apps out there. So if you're not using the official ChatGPT app, or if you didn't go to a browser and go to chat.openai.com, if you went anywhere other than that or the official ChatGPT app, you might have gotten a shitty knockoff thing that's charging you money that is not actually that. Which is why I have these here. I don't make any money off these. I just have these here so people can go, where do I start? What do I do? I heard about this AI thing. I heard it's going to kill my job and then kill my family. Is that true? No. Go there. Start playing with it. The more you know, the better it is. I want to know if ChatGPT can impersonate others. That would be not good. Yes, it can. Tell it to impersonate Shakespeare, and it will. Tell it to impersonate, Now, can it impersonate them like a video? That's a different thing. But that all this generative AI stuff is being applied to everything from images to audio to voices to music to animation to film to pictures to words. And so, yes, it can all mimic other things. And we're going to get a giant steaming lesson in the 2024 election about what generative AI can do. Someone earlier asked, what is generative? We're going to get a real good lesson starting in probably a month or 2 months, November. We'll have a good solid year of it. And you'll see lots and lots of impersonation stuff going on. And then I think after the election, we'll realize we should probably get this under control, and we'll start to build technologies that make it harder to do that. Based on current landscape, where do you see opportunities to generate revenue using these tools? Short term, just if you get AI literate and start talking about it, one good way to generate revenue is as more and more companies start to get curious or desperate about needing to learn this stuff, they're going to be looking for people that know it. So start learning these tools and start talking about it. Talk about it on LinkedIn. Talk about it within your company. Talk about it amongst your friends, even if they think you're fucking weirdos. Everyone in my life thinks I'm a fucking weirdo. Doesn't matter. This is profound. It's going to change everything. So start getting educated about it. Start understanding how to make this stuff do what you want it to do. And then tell other people about that. And you'll start to discover places where you could make revenue. It could be consulting. It could be whatever, a YouTube channel. It could be doing services, starting an agency, doing services for other people. That's probably the quickest way to do it. Hey, you want me to build an automation for you? I build Zapier automations. You could build an entire business around Zapier automations because pointing Zapier automations to large language model tools like ChatGPT are insane. Like what you can build is fucking nuts. If you're within an organization right now, if you have a job right now within an organization, start learning this stuff, start talking about it. And some people may be afraid. Some people may be like, well, it's against our policy to use all that. Just keep talking about it because at some point, someone's going to say, we need to figure this out. Who knows about this? Oh, Kent knows about this. Yeah, Kent's always talking about it. He won't shut up about it. Well, get Kent in here. I gotta talk to Kent. What's going on with this AI, Kent? Be the guy they ask. That's a way. And then beyond that, I would sort of put it back on you to say, what are you good at? Are you a project manager? Are you a creative? Are you a writer? Are you someone who's really good at mechanical process? What I would say is, as you get up to speed on what these tools are and what they can do, start to figure out how you can use these tools to do what you already do better. And then in that, you'll probably find a lane where you can go, ooh, I have an idea for a business. It's the thing I do, but like times 10. 10 times cheaper, 10 times faster, 10 times better. That's what these tools can do. So I'd sort of put it back on you to say, what are you good at? Because these are just tools. Like making money with AI is no different than how do you make money with Photoshop? I don't know. Get good at Photoshopping shit and make people pictures good enough that they're willing to pay you for them. Same thing with this. Get good enough with this stuff that you can solve a problem for someone good enough for them to pay you for it. I know that's not a great answer, but it's the answer. Because what's not the answer is, you can make money with ChatGPT. That's not the answer. Don't listen to those people. They're full of shit. You know how they're making money with ChatGPT? Getting money from people like you who want to make money with ChatGPT. And they're just making, stupid little courses that they're not actually building anything. Got Langchain and Pinecone. Hang on. TikTok just jumped me to the bottom again. Okay. God dang it. You get rig 'em, frig 'em, rock 'em, suck 'em. Yes. At some point, TikTok's going to fix this problem, and I'm not going to know how to handle myself. Got Langchain and Pinecone working. Have it running in Colab. Drop PDFs on my hard drive, and it imports it in. I'm jealous, Jugged Gear. I haven't done that. I haven't gotten it up and running yet. I know it's probably only a 2-hour commitment of focused time, but it's just such an area that I'm so clueless in that. And there's all the APIs that I got to hook up the API keys. So that's awesome that you're doing that. And listen, I think that if you're geeky enough to get Langchain up and running, you should be doing it, because I think that's where these things very quickly head is, take your data and point these machines and robots and chatbots at your own data. In fact, the code interpreter version of ChatGPT, you can upload 100 megabyte file to it. You can take a big chunk of your data, upload it to this thing, and start interacting with it. It's pretty amazing. I found a new job, prompt engineer. Awesome. Congratulations. That's fantastic. I'm currently learning Python. Do you think it's worth it to pay for it? Wait, is it worth to pay it? Do I think it's worth it to pay for ChatGPT Plus, or to pay for a course in Python? GPT 3.5, the free version of ChatGPT, will help you do coding. Bing.com is GPT-4 for free. That'll help you. And then I would say go to GitHub's Copilot, and that's a pair programming. It's a GPT tool specifically designed for coding. So if you want to use these large language models to support you in learning Python, there's free options for you. And what I would say is get good at learning to program in conjunction with these tools. And quite frankly, let me go show you Code Interpreter, what it's doing. Because if you haven't seen what Code Interpreter is doing, it'll blow your fucking mind. Okay, so if you've never been to ChatGPT, this is ChatGPT. If you pay for ChatGPT Plus, you get GPT 3.5 and GPT-4. So for GPT-4, you get regular GPT-4, you get this new thing called Code Interpreter, and then you also get plugins. There's a fourth mode, which is browse with Bing, but they disabled that 4 days ago because it was downloading content from behind paywalls, and apparently some publishers got pissed off. So that's not there for now. It'll come back. Okay. What Code Interpreter allows you to do is upload files up to 100 megabytes in size, and then it starts to do things with them. So I'm going to say plus here for upload. And then let's see. Oh, this is good. Okay. So this is a zip file. And in this zip file is a CSV file from IMDb about television shows. So I'm just going to say, please tell me what is interesting about this data and visualize it in ways that help me understand it. Okay, so it's a zip file. It's a compressed file. I write one little sentence about it. All right, let's start by unzipping the file and examining its contents. So it understood that it was a zip file. and then it ran a little plugin. But now let's go look at what that plugin actually does, or what it's doing. It's writing Python. It's writing its own Python. So it imports two libraries, zip file and OS, and then it opens. Let's see. There's a bunch of CSV files in there. I guess one for each category. It looks like the data consists of multiple CSV files, each representing a different genre of TV series, such as mystery, sport, biography, and so on. And then it writes another Python script and executes it to go look in those CSV files. So each one of those has the title, the ID, the release year, the genre, the cast, the synopsis, the rating, the runtime, the certificate, the number of votes. Then let's see, what's it do? Also, let's load all the other data files and concatenate them into a single data frame for the complete analysis. So it's going to string all that data together. And then it's now coming up with things we could look at. Cleaning the release year column, converting the runtime into a numeric column. Seems to be there's an error, and it's going on. And look, now it wrote Python to generate a script. This is a distribution of ratings across all of the TV series. So it looks like about 7.4 is the sort of highest. Very few 10s, very few 1s, kind of, leans into the 7s. What else did it do for us? This is number of TV series in each genre. So romance is the most, Westerns are the least. Here's national number of TV series for each content. So what Code Interpreter's doing, it's still going. It gave itself instructions based on my little thing about what is this data? Tell me what this is and visualize it for me. And it did all this, and it wrote the Python for you. So is it a bad thing to learn Python programming? No, it's not. But you need to understand that what's coming are tools that can write it and execute it. And so if you can get good at instructing these tools what to do, where you're the pilot and it's your co-pilot and it's doing these things for you quickly, that's great. But anyway, if you haven't seen Code Interpreter, that's what it does. It's nuts. It's nuts. It's nuts, I tell you. Nuts. Here we come to save the day. Is ChatGPT useful for visual art? No, but Midjourney is. And so you can also, if you go to bing.com, let's go there. Let's go there quick. That's Poe. I'm going to go to bing.com. Rubber ducky, you're the one. You make bath time lots of fun. That was from Sesame Street. I want an original poem. Don't give me some stinking copyrighted work. Can you make an image to go with that poem? Poem. Let's see if it does it. I'll try to create that. And so now it's off. It probably generated some prompt based on that poem. And we should see some rubber duckies here. Boom. There you go. So this is not ChatGPT. This is DALL-E. But there's DALL-E, there's Stable Diffusion, there's Midjourney. So Midjourney is the highest quality. Stable Diffusion is the most flexible, but it requires the most geekiness. DALL-E is now incorporated into Bing, so you can just use it just like I did there. You can, make an image of a 70s muscle car on a mountain overlooking a valley. And it'll go do that. And then there's also Adobe Firefly or generative fill within the new Adobe Photoshop beta. All of those are image generation tools that can help with the art side of this. And then if you go to, so there's our 70s muscle car overlooking a valley. I mean, come on. Like, what did that take? 30 seconds? Like if you needed to do something for a PowerPoint presentation or a whatever, and it didn't need to be an accurate, actual 70s muscle car, because that's some sort of weird-ass hybrid. But, I mean, that's pretty nuts. It's pretty nuts. It's pretty nuts, if you know what I mean. I mean, that's purdy. That's purdy. Right? Come on. Come on. This is why this channel exists. Do me a favor, hit the double tap the screen, do the likes so we can let people know we're here. We'll get as many people in here as we can. I have something stuck in my teeth. It's driving me crazy. Oh, got it. I'm a little busy, so I guess my questions didn't make much sense. Sorry. That's okay. If you ask them more clearly, I'll ask them. Down with the public internet. You mean you are down with it, or you don't like the public internet? You can not like it, but that's sort of the infrastructure that we run everything on now. Now debating on having it save my past conversations in the vector database. I think that's actually, I think, so first of all, I think that, I think Google's going to do that. I think Microsoft will probably do that. I think Apple's going to do that. I think Apple's going to do it really well. I think if nothing else, it would be a brilliant exercise to learn on, because I think having, like, just take your entire social graph, right? Like your history of Facebook, your history of LinkedIn, all that sort of stuff, and have that in a vector database where you could now say, I want you to write a blog post in my voice, and it actually can understand what that actually means. I think that's, and understand, like, your point of view on everything. I think it's a brilliant idea. I think it's a really, really smart idea. Judged really good. Like, yes, like I don't know if you're asking for my encouragement, but you're getting it. ChatGPT. Also, I have to say is domo arigato, Mr. Robato. Very nice. I like it. It stole excerpt from success stories. What did? What's the it in that sentence? And which success stories? From, because it sounds like the straw that broke the camel's back for ChatGPT connected to the internet, why they took it down, was it was pulling some Fortune magazine content. And I would assume Time Inc. came to them and said, we're Time Inc. and you better knock this off. And Microsoft probably said, yeah, they're our biggest customer, one of our biggest customers, so you got to deal with this. Nobody reads anymore. Much more consumables. Not quite sure what that means. I write articles, but nobody has time to read them anymore. I know. 10 words, people will read headlines only. Well, and that's a place where this generative AI stuff could be really interesting. I could imagine doing imagine doing an automation that takes your long form content and distills it down into increasingly smaller distillations, right? So a 5-word headline is the smallest, and then a 10-word headline, and then a 140 character tweet, and then a short little, punchy Facebook post that goes with an image, and then a LinkedIn post, and then a medium article and then a long form article. And then you could auto publish those to all of the places, and they all cross reference each other or point to the long form article. Or you can say, you want to dig a little deeper? Here's the next layer down. You want to dig a little deeper? Here's the next layer down. That could be a product. Lately on this channel, I've been like taking comments like that. I'm like, okay, here's the product. So generate multiple lengths of the same article automatically, publish them to appropriate channels, point them all to the long form article. I don't know if you can make any money on it, but if you built a tool that did that, you could probably license that to the Time Incs of the world and the economists of the world and things like that, where they can just automatically take their long form content and auto-generate videos, auto-generate animations, auto-generate short-form content, auto-publish it everywhere, track all the engagement. Maybe you find out that people do read long-form articles, but they have to read the short headline first. I don't know. Maybe you confirm your suspicion that nobody reads anymore. I don't know, man. There's shit to do, man. You know what I'm saying, man? You go learn this shit, and your brain kind of goes, yeah, man. And you fucking, you just fucking eat a shroom, man, and then go there, and then you'll see the future, man. It's right there. Man. Does generated stuff have a copyright? Good question. The Copyright Office isn't quite sure yet. The Copyright Office is basically saying if a machine did it, fuck no. Now, they don't say that about cameras, do they? So they haven't quite figured it out yet. And there's also, so there's lots and lots of gray areas. GPT 3.0, all these different things have all been trained on copywritten data. But one of the misconceptions is that when you generate some writing or when you generate something in Midjourney, it's copying and pasting from that copywritten work. It's not doing that. It's generating new original work. So there's one argument that says, well, if I went to art school for 4 years and I learned about Andy Warhol and I got really inspired by him and I left art school and I started my art career and started doing work that looked like Andy Warhol's, that's my work inspired by that knowledge. So there's one school of thought that says generative AI is just like that. There's another school of thought that says, you're stealing my fucking work. Stop it. I'm not getting paid. And they're both valid. And like everything in this polarized, shitty-ass world right now, the reality is somewhere in the middle. There are things that are generated from these models that absolutely are infringing on someone else's work. There are other things that are borderline, and there are other things where it's not even close. It is unclear right now what's copyrightable. It is unclear right now what, if anything, that you generate could cause copyright issues in the future. So if you're talking about images, I would, and you're in an organization that is concerned about these things, I would use Adobe Firefly. Use the Adobe products because their models have been trained on public domain and Adobe stock images that they've got all the rights to. So Adobe is taking the most conservative approach to this on the image side. On the word side, it was trained up on all the stuff on the internet. Some of that is copywritten work, but when I have it generate an original poem for me, the fact that it sort of read, all of, I don't know, some modern authors, Tom Clancy's books, and might have included something that kind of sounded like him in my little paragraph here. I don't know how you make that connection necessarily. So I don't know. It's a very gray area. My philosophy right now is if I'm doing anything for clients, I'm taking a very conservative approach. If I'm doing anything for myself, I don't really give a fuck. But I'm certainly not going to a place. We're moving into a world of infinite content generation. Infinite. Everyone can make beautiful images. Everyone can write great. Infinite content generation. So if you generate something or if you collaborate with AI and write something you're really proud of and you want to copyright that, you'll likely be able to find a way to do it if you can prove that you materially contributed to the generation of that. But we're also moving into a world where there's kind of an infinite amount of that stuff out there. So does the model completely change over the next 10 years? My instinct is that it does. What does it look like? I don't have a fucking clue. Alignment is only as good as the humans aligning it, and OpenAI isn't the only player in town. And the open source models aren't aligning shit. Well, some are, but some are like, screw the safety guidelines. Let's put this out in the world. No, they're not the only ones. Google's doing this, although one of the reasons that Elon Musk started OpenAI was he didn't like Sergey Brin's cavalier attitude about AI. And so he said, let's start something where we pay attention to safety. And now he doesn't like how Sam Altman's doing it, so he's going and starting his own AI company called XAI. And then you got Meta, who's open sourcing all their stuff. And then you've got AWS, Amazon has started their own thing. Apple's going to have their own thing. So you're going to have all sorts of players in the game. But yeah, I agree. Good evening, Troy. Hi, Danny. Hi, AI guy. Will robot dolls be spouses? Mr. Shannon, you're early. I know I came on early. So we're having ribs tonight because, why not? But we put them in late, so they're not going to be ready to put on the grill till 7. So I figured I'd do like an hour or so here, and then I'll come back later. Will robot dolls be spouses? I think that virtual companionship is going to be a very real thing, and I think there's sort of the immediate reaction to that is like, oh, it's creepy. There's a lot of lonely people out there, and these tools are really good at conversation, and they're going to be increasingly good at conversation. So I think virtual companionship is going to be a thing, and it might not just be companionship like love companionship. It might be like friend, colleague, advisor. I think we will have multiple agents that we interact with, and some of those may be more conversational, and I want to deal with some personal shit. And this happens to be something that's incredibly good at psychotherapy, and it's incredibly good at empathy and listening. And as these tools get increasingly multimodal, where it's not just typing in or that weird thing where you talk into it and there's this really long pause and then it responds back with this stilted thing, probably within 2 years, you'll be able to talk to a something. Maybe it's got a face, maybe it doesn't, where the response will be immediate and it will be indistinguishable from you talking to another person. So I think, and because people are attention whores, someone will go first. Someone's going to marry an AI bot or an AI bot connected to a physical robot. Someone's going to do that, again, probably within 2 years just to get the headline. And then I think it'll become a whole industry, just like, online dating. Where online dating was weird and creepy for a while, I think this will be similar. And I think it'll help a lot of people, believe it or not. And some people will do creepy shit with it, but that's human nature. I think of these tools as humanity amplifiers, and it amplifies the good and the weird. So you can be a world-class weirdo with AI. Young video game nephew kid asked me, what's the reason to read a book? Listen to him. If you have an answer, you can talk to him about it, right? But I would say learn from him. What's his experience with books? Maybe he hasn't read a good one. Maybe he's got a way of consuming what used to be books in a way that you can't even imagine. Maybe he's just clueless. I don't know. Learn from him. I love the idea of reverse mentorship, right? Where older people are mentoring younger people and vice versa. Like, I'm a 58-year-old with a TikTok channel. So, like, I could have a young person teach me to twerk. No? All right. Can AI write better scripts? And is this why they're striking? It can't write better scripts. I've written 7 feature-length screenplays in my day. What AI can do remarkably well is get you to 80% like that. So it could write the outline of a screenplay incredibly quickly, and just by, giving it feedback, like going back and forth, probably 10 iterations with an outline of a screenplay, you could probably have a pretty world-class outline immediately. And then you could have the AI, start to block in, like how I would approach it is this. I would say, I would have it write me an outline. I'd say, okay, I've got this idea for a screenplay, and it's kind of like these movies, and I want to use the Save the Cat story framework, or I want to use Sid Field, or I want to use whatever framework you want. Joseph Campbell, Hero's Journey, it doesn't matter. I want this to mimic the structure of Star Wars identically. Why not? Isn't that what J.K. Rowling did with Harry Potter? Or one of them. I don't know. Anyway, story structure is story structure, and a hero's journey is a hero's journey, right? So I'd start with that. I would then tell it, my characters. I would have it flesh out my character personas, and then I would have it write scene 1. Maybe give it some ideas for scene 1. But I've already got it in the outline. I already know what the major beats are for scene 1. I would have it write scene 1. I might give it example dialogue from another screenplay that I like the tone of. Maybe one that I wrote, maybe one that I didn't, and say kind of match this tone. And then I would sit there and I would take whatever it generated from scene 1, and I would go through and edit it. So I would sort of flip into an editor's mode. Then I would say, okay, based on this outline and this scene 1, write me scene 2. Have it do that. Wait, based on this outline, these character personas, and this scene, write me scene 2. And I would just sort of knock it out like that. So it can't write it wholesale, but I think I could probably knock out a feature-length screenplay. If I did it, 4 to 6 hours a day, like even after work, and then 2 days on a weekend, I bet you could knock out a solid feature-length screenplay in a week. Is the app available on Android? Okay, so no. Well, ChatGPT's not. ChatGPT has an official iOS app, but there are lots and lots of fake apps, so be really careful with it. I would go to openai.com and go to their product section and go to ChatGPT, and you'll see a link to the App Store. So if you're going to download the app for ChatGPT, make sure it's the official one. What I do is I just point my mobile browser, Chrome or Safari, whichever one you use, to chat.openai.com, and then make a shortcut on my desktop for it. Because the website's incredibly simple. It's a single input box, and you type into it and shit comes out. And then on the phone, you can hit the little microphone button and talk into it, and it'll respond. So that's how I do it. I downloaded the official ChatGPT app, but I don't think it's as good. It was good when it was connected to the internet, but they killed that because of the Fortune magazine thing. What has AI brought to the table in terms of innovation, such as new scientific methods? Well, it's funny. It's like what the large language models do technically, we've seen before. Like we see it in our current, Google sentence completion. All it's really doing is sentence completion on steroids. So from that piece of the technical perspective, it's like what it's doing is pretty simple. Now, what's different about it technically? Google invented this thing called the transformer that allowed these machine learning models to be trained on massive data sets. And so they trained these these machine learning models on all of the public internet. And that's why they know so much. So the scale of knowledge that it has, if you think about what Google is, Google's an indexing platform where it learns all of the internet, but it really just learns it so that it knows which of the 40 websites it might send you to are the most relevant to what you're looking for. So it's indexing, a list of links. What large language models are doing is they're learning all the stuff, and they're learning all the stuff. So when I ask it to explain to me who Plato was and what his philosophical theories were, it can just answer that. It doesn't take me to 40 different sites about Plato where I have to go figure it out. And it's so good at stuff like coding and things like that, where it's actually coding, right? So one of the advancements here is that, and this was my big epiphany about ChatGPT was when I first started playing with it, I'm like, oh, this is kind of like Google. You type in a thing and it gives you a response. And then I had it write me a poem and I'm like, oh, and when I used ChatGPT 4, when it came out, I'm like, oh, that's much better. Like it was good. And writing songs. And so I'm like, it's a little bit different. The thing that sort of put me over the edge where I thought, holy shit, the world's just changed is I thought, I hear Python's something good to learn. I heard it can do code. This was back in December. And I said, write me some Python code that takes an input. And it did that. And then I realized I don't know how to run Python code. So I said, hey, ChatGPT, how do you run Python code? And it said, oh, you go to the terminal program on your Mac and you type in this command line and and you install this library. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do any of that. Isn't there a website I can just go to and paste this code in it and see if it works? And it said, sure. And it gave me a list. And the first one was Replit. And I went to Replit. And so I copied and pasted my code into Replit. I hit the run button and it gave me an error. And then I said, hey, ChatGPT, here's the error it gave me. It said, well, you don't have a library installed. And I said, how do you install a library? And it said, you click on this button and then you search for this library name and then you hit the install button and then you hit play and it should work. And it did. Within 90 minutes, I had written a sophisticated Python application that asked someone for a topic and then asked them 3 questions about it and generated 5 pieces of social media content in 90 minutes. I've never written a line of Python in my life. I still haven't. And I had a functional Python application. So the way I think about what these large language models do is they shift us from what Google did for us and what the World Wide Web and the internet did ostensibly is we could have information on demand. So we didn't have to go to the physical library and dig through the Dewey Decimal System with the cards and go find the book and check out the book and get yelled at by the library lady because we didn't return our last book. We could just go on this internet thing and find the information. And Google got really good at helping us find the information. They turned it into a $1 trillion business or however big they are. What these large language models do is they give us knowledge on demand, right? I don't have to go learn how to do Python programming. Now, if I go to learn Python programming, will that help me use these tools better? It will. But me never having written a line of Python, I wrote an application without doing that. So I had the knowledge of a programmer in this tool. So for me, that's the big difference is that we're shifting from, the information age to the knowledge age or information on demand to knowledge on demand. And there's lots and lots of other things that it does. It's accelerating things like scientific discovery. There's a group within Google called DeepMind that created this thing called AlphaFold that predicted the shapes of proteins that historically would take a long time to figure out just one. It did like 400,000 of them in, I don't know, a few days or a few weeks, some ridiculous amount of thing. So the amount of drug discovery that's going to come out of just that one project. And it's kind of like anywhere you point these things, it's solving things much more quickly. and those discoveries and innovations are stacking one another, and they're accelerating exponentially. So we're entering what I'm calling the Great Renaissance, where we're going to see increased creativity, increased scientific discovery, increased productivity, in almost every sector imaginable. Me too. They think I'm crazy for being interested in AI. I know. Whatever. Let them be crazy. Because what'll happen is they'll make fun of you for a while, or in my case, like they just ignore me. I just noticed people responded to me initially. I had one when I started doing the project, that weird eyeball there. I did this project called Kyle Shannon Dreams, which was all these AI generated self-portrait kind of things. I had 2 different people reach out to me and ask if I was mentally okay. No, I'm not, but but I'm doing that shit on purpose. Would an AI president be better than Trump or Biden? Maybe this is a good thing. The thing that I notice about asking ChatGPT about, I will ask ChatGPT about topics I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole with human beings, right? Because there's so many trigger words. Like if you ask about trans or this or guns or whatever, like there's the English language is a fucking minefield anymore, right? Like the past 10 years of American politics has just destroyed the ability to talk with any nuance about anything, right? It's just, are you on my team or on the other team? Because if you're on the other team, I'm going to beat you up. And sometimes I would like to actually be able to talk about a topic and not have it immediately go into that emotional place. ChatGPT is really good at that because it doesn't understand trigger words. You just ask it a sentence about whatever the topic is you can't talk to people about, and it will give you incredibly nuanced answers. So, would it be a good president? Not right now, because ChatGPT doesn't reason. It really is just a prediction calculator, right? It's predicting the next word and the next word and the next word. It's not actually conscious in any way of what it said. Where we're headed and where Sam Altman wants to take OpenAI is to a thing called AGI, artificial general intelligence or super intelligence, where these things are smarter than human beings and reason better than. Once you start to get into that neighborhood, then you could start to have a conversation like, could it be a president? But here's the challenge with that. If they call it alignment. If the alignment of the model is not in line with human rights, you could end up having something with tremendous power. Like let's say you give some version of this political power, and then it decides it doesn't like the direction we want to take the country or the world. And it says, no, we're going to take it in another direction. And that direction is not in line with our rights or our values or what we want. Well, then we're in fucking trouble, right? So before you can get anywhere near having an AI president, you have to solve the alignment problem. And that's the thing that Sam Altman just said. They're committing 20% of their compute resources to what they're calling super alignment, which is basically make sure these fuckers don't kill us. So that's good. It's a good thing. But we're not anywhere close to having, turning over any of that over. Now, what you could potentially have is you could have AI generated tools that accelerate legislation crafting and the ability. So you know how sometimes, Congress will play those stupid ass tricks where they'll create a 800-page document and then they say, you've got 8 hours to read it, and then we're voting on it, and they like ram shit through the thing and no one can read it. Well, you could take that 800-page legislative document, run it through ChatGPT, and have it summarize it and have it summarize the core pieces of the thing so people could actually understand what they're voting on. So I could see there being tools created that help with the legislative process, but you still got human beings involved to make sure that everything aligns with what we're up to. AI versus climate change. How is this possible? Yeah. So I think that when it comes to energy generation, when it comes to solving climate change, when it solves to coming things like neurological diseases, spinal cord injuries, cancer, complicated diseases. I think these AI tools are going to dramatically accelerate solutions in all the spaces. How's it going to do it with climate change? I don't know enough about climate change to know where it would do it, but one of the things these tools are remarkable at is ingesting lots of data, processing it, and analyzing it. So we're going to be able to accelerate a lot of the possible solution sets derived from data. The other thing to realize about all this AI stuff is, as new as it seems, the AI's been around for decades, right? So they're already applying, AI to climate change and to energy and all the different things. What these tools do, the generative AI tools, let's say sort of ChatGPT forward, is that it makes these tools accessible to more and more people who don't need to be data scientists. It's just regular people can start using these tools. So I think what you're going to see is many, many more people applying machine learning and AI towards solving problems that wouldn't have done it otherwise. Where it would have just been off in a research corner somewhere, you might have organizations or nonprofits or even individuals coming up with solutions that they couldn't have done otherwise. So I think that's how it will help. How specifically within climate change, I don't have a flipping clue. Does AI stand for authentic ice cream? Stands for actual intelligence. I don't know. No. AI is actually not the right term. It's machine learning is more accurate for the stuff that we're playing with, but AI is easier to remember, and that's what it is in all the movies. When I put my text in a prompt, it is now owned by ChatGPT. Yeah, but you can turn that off. Let me show you how. New chat. Okay, so if you're at ChatGPT, you've got your chat history here, your prompt history. If you go to your settings, within settings, there's this thing called data controls. So go to data controls, and then this top one is clear your history and training. So this will get rid of all of your prompt history. So if you want your prompt history, make sure you export it first. You can export your data. So make sure you do that if you want to save your prompts. This is one of the reasons I haven't turned this off yet, is because I don't feel like I want my prompts there. I like my prompt history. But you can turn off your chat history, and you can basically say, I don't want you using my data for training. So that's there right now. And then OpenAI said they're coming out with a business version of ChatGPT that's going to have robust privacy controls. So that should help. Love it for back cover copy. That's cool. The power of all of the stuff that these folks have been working on for the past 3, 4, 5 decades available to all of us. And from the day they launched ChatGPT until it hit 100 million people was 6 weeks. It went to 100 million people in 6 weeks. It was the fastest adoption of consumer technology in history. Because this shit goes deep. It runs very deep. What it makes possible is insanely profound. So what you're asking is, did I have any part pre-inflection point? Not really. I messed around with it a little bit, just like I messed around with the internet in the early days with command line stuff. But then when the World Wide Web came out, I'm like, oh, holy shit, this changes everything. And I started one of the first digital agencies, a company called agency.com. And I ended up building a lot of the websites for the Fortune 500. So I didn't invent any of the World Wide Web or any of the underlying technology, but I used it. I applied it to business. And so that's what this channel's about. And that's what I'm doing with all this stuff. That's the inflection point that we're on the other side of now. AI versus climate change. We did that one. Oh, TikTok just jumped me to the bottom. How we doing time-wise? Got a little bit. I just watched 60 Minutes talking about AI. Very cool stuff. CBS has stuff all week about AI. Yeah, this is, if you go look at the early days of coverage of the World Wide Web, There's a famous one with Bryant Gumbel and Katie Couric where she's like, that little at sign. And he goes, I think it means about. And she goes, no, I don't think it does. And they're like, what is this internet thing anyway? It's quite a charming little piece. And I feel like we're starting to see those same kind of things with AI. But I think what's clear about AI to everyone is that this is significantly more powerful and more profound than the World Wide Web was. And the World Wide Web changed the fucking world. It changed everything. It changed how we do commerce. It changed how we communicate. It changed how we date. It changed how we bought things. Like malls, are like dinosaurs now because we don't go to malls anymore. It changed everything. And so this is going to change everything more profoundly, and I think the transformation is going to happen way faster. I think it's going to happen faster than we're prepared for, which is why I have this channel. Thanks. I just tried it out. Awesome, Esteban. That's great. I'm going to fix my credit card. Oh, my credit with this. Oh, this would be great for fixing your credit. Yeah. Have it explain to you how credit things work, get your reports, pop it in there, tell it to, guide you through fixing your credit. It's brilliant use of this. Brilliant use. What about Cosmos 2? I don't know it. I've been able to search user IDs using Google. I'm thinking AI has a way too. Probably. I don't user IDs where, like user IDs, like connecting someone's user ID to who they really are. Probably. Like it may have that stuff in it. That might be one of those things where they've got a safety guardrail in there where it's like, hey, it looks like you're trying to find a human being. We're not going to allow you to do that. But it'd be something to experiment with for sure. And then if ChatGPT won't do it, go play with one of the open source models that doesn't have any safety guidelines on it. Not that I'm encouraging that. For research purposes only, of course. Thanks. I misused it. I want to fix my credit with this. I think it's a great use case. Can you give an example of what Zapier and ChatGPT can do? Yeah, if you go to contentevolution.net. It's an organization I work for. I'm actually the chief generative officer there. I'm pretty sure I'm the first chief generative officer anywhere on the world. If you go to contentevolution.net, on the homepage is this thing called the challenge engine. And it has you put in your email and like what business sector you're in. And then you put in a problem, like a challenge that you have for your business. And you answer a few questions about that challenge. Like, what does it cost you? How would things improve if you fixed it? And then when you hit submit, 30 seconds later, you get back a list of questions that consultants would ask you. Here's the questions you need to answer to solve your challenge. And it does it in 6 different categories, like branding and strategy and customer experience. And there's 6 different strategies. And it asks you 3 questions in each of those categories specific to your problem. So that was done in Zapier. The input form that's at contentevolution.net, that's just a Google form that's embedded in the website. And then when you submit the form, it triggers a series of calls to OpenAI, to the GPT API, that generates the content. And then I send the content back to OpenAI and I say, format this with HTML. So I basically have a call that formats it in HTML. And then I stick that HTML formatted content into a Gmail template and it gets sent back to you. And it all happens within 30 seconds. So what I've been using it for is kind of content generation tools. I use one for my company, Storyvine, where we'll ask clients, what's the kind of video you want to create? And the way our platform works, we ask a series of prompted questions in the Storyvine app for someone to tell their story. So we say to the client, what's the kind of story you want to tell? And who's the audience? And in the ideal video, what would the person be saying? And normally what we would do in the creative process is we would have a whole dialogue about writing the prompting questions. And it got really complicated and not good. And so now we have ChatGPT do it, where we ask them all these questions. We send that to OpenAI with a very specific prompt designed to generate our kind of prompts. It sends them to our Slack channel, and then we have a starting point. So we say, okay, based on our conversation, here's 5 questions that I think capture what you're trying to accomplish. And then we just start editing questions rather than having to generate them from whole cloth. So yeah, it's amazing that way. And that's Zapier. You can kind of think of it like this. The way those automations work, there's what they call a trigger, which is kind of the input, right? So either a new line gets added to an Excel spreadsheet, like a Google Sheets, row, or a document gets uploaded to a folder, or, someone fills out a Google form. So that kicks off the automation. And then you can take the data from that initial trigger and use that in another prompt to, in the case of OpenAI, send it to OpenAI, do an interesting prompt with it, then take that content and send it to someone. So you have input, processing, output. And then you can have as many steps as you want in the middle of that, but that's basically what it is. What's the coolest thing you've seen or done with Code Interpreter? The thing where I don't think I can see it anymore, because one of the weird things about Code Interpreter is if you go away from it, it kind of erases all of the outputs. Oh, here it is. It's still there. Good. So check this out. This is just wild. And this is just scratching the surface. Like, I haven't really done shit with Code Interpreter yet. I just haven't quite figured out what I want to do with it. I uploaded this image. So this was an image that I got off the AI Salon's Discord server that one of the artists there, aiLL, created. And I said to Code Interpreter, let's see, I said, find the 15 average colors in this image, plot their relative percentage in a pie chart, make each segment the color represented, and label each color with a creative crayon color that is memorable and brings that color to life. And then, so what Code Interpreter did was it wrote a set of instructions for itself. So I'm going to flatten the image. I'm going to apply clustering. We'll be using the k-means algorithm, for instance. We're going to calculate the relative percentages of the colors. We're going to create a generative and memorable name for the color, and then we're going to plot a pie chart. And so then it starts doing that. It starts writing Python to pull the colors out of the image. And then it says it took too long because the image is big, so we're going to downsample it. So then it wrote code to downsample the image. Now, I'm not telling it to do any of this. This is it self-instructing itself, self-coding, and self-executing the code. So then it got the colors. And then it said, oh, now we got to make good names for the colors and get their percentages. So it came up with a bunch of names for the colors with their relative percentages. And then it got stuck. It told me it generated the image, but it didn't. So I had to, 2 times I had to tell it to make the pie chart. And then it said, oh, I apologize for the inconvenience. There was a memory error. And then let me try that again. And so it created this pie chart. So these are the main colors in that image. And the names are like Raven's Wing, Mossy Stone, Sky Reflection, Ocean Depths, Burning Ember. And like, these are good color names. So in, I don't know, a minute and a half, without having to do anything, it did all this. Now, is that actually useful? Not for me right now, but it's like right now where I am with Code Interpreter is where I was with ChatGPT for the first month or so. Parlor tricks. So right now for me, Code Interpreter is parlor tricks, but particularly watching videos of people on YouTube who are data analysts using Code Interpreter and watching their faces go. I mean, the fact that You kind of give it a goal. You say, here's a blob of content, a blob of data. Tell me what's interesting about that. You can't, that's not possible to do, right? If you have a big data set, you need someone like Gartner or an analyst or a research scientist to look at all the data, think about all the data, understand all the data, and then come up with interesting ways to analyze it, and then come up with interesting ways to visualize their analysis. It does that now in like 30 seconds. So you could take, we live in this age of fucked up misinformation and just bullshit, right? And that's going to get worse. It's going to be relatively straightforward for just normal human beings to take really complicated data and say, tell me the truth based on the data. Tell me what's going on based on the data. And it will visualize it and use metaphors and whatever you want it to do. However you want to look at the data, it'll look at that for you. And that's just like the teeny tiniest tip of the iceberg. So I don't know. I'm relatively speechless about Code Interpreter because it's so much deeper than my capacity to even begin to understand what it makes possible that it's a little humbling. I feel a little bit like a dum-dum. I'm like a little bit of a dum-dum. I take all this data, I put it in there, and make pretty pictures, but I don't know what to do with it. I'm just a dum-dum. So I don't know. Over the next month, I'll get my head around it. Because like my mission right now in life is to just learn as much as I can, as quickly as I can about what this makes possible. I don't really care if I'm an expert at any piece of it. I just want to understand what it is and what it makes possible. Because I feel like if I have that knowledge, then I can start to do things like, oh, you want to do that? Here's how you would do that. Oh, you want to do that? Here's how you would do that. Oh, someone's stuck in solving that problem. I know how to solve that problem. Like I want to be able to understand how I can even think about this stuff so that I can solve problems with it. Because it's the most powerful tool like in the history of humanity. And we get to play with it. If you don't get how lucky we are to be alive right now, this is printing press, steam engine, fire, written language level technological advancement. This makes the World Wide Web look like fucking child's play. Like it's big. It's profound. And we get to play with it. We're in at the ground level of it. That's lucky. That's lucky. Do you think it will benefit sysadmin roles or eliminate them altogether? I think that AI operations, I think AI tools are going to, here's the way I think about these generative AI tools with any complicated system. I think that the AI tools are going to put a simplification layer on top of complex systems. In fact, go look at the video of Microsoft made an announcement that they're going to roll Copilot into Windows 11. Go watch that video because basically you can just say in human terms, change these settings in Windows, and it just goes and change all those settings in Windows. You don't need to learn how to change your Windows settings when this stuff is incorporated into Windows. So imagine that for the entire tech stack of a big corporation, right? Where there's going to be this simplification layer sitting on top of these really complicated systems. Once that layer is there, it's going to be very, very easy for people to do their own system administration stuff given the right permissions, right? But figuring out what AI tools to use and how to set those permissions, the AI operations of setting all that up is an entirely new category of work. So I think sysadmins will become AI admins and then they'll maintain that simplification layer. And they'll also, I think there's still going to be room for sysadmins to install all those systems. But I think the AI will do the installation and will do the patching between the Frankenstein bullshit that's there and make it much more simple to manage. But someone's going to have to set up the AI. So I don't think sysadmins go away, but I think their jobs change dramatically. If that makes sense. So any sysadmin that goes, I think AI is stupid, they're going to be out. But any sysadmin that says, holy shit, this could change everything for the better, they're going to be fine. We can go Google troll accounts. Oh yeah, that's one of the cool things about this AI stuff is like part of the fear is, well, the bad guys are going to have these AI tools and they're going to be able to fuck with us, but we're going to have these AI tools and we're going to be able to fuck with the trolls and the thieves. It's going to be good. It's going to be fun. So, do y'all watch those TikTok videos where it's like they're scamming the scammers? They get in and they hack their machines and delete their hard drives and shit like that. I love those things. That's going to get much more entertaining. What do you think of using LLM and placing human concepts into the data sets like bravery? I think concepts like bravery, go have an interaction about Jungian archetypes and Joseph Campbell and the hero's journey and things like that. Like, it's all in there, especially things like that, human concepts like bravery and things like that, because it's been in literature for so long and it's all public domain. There's so much written about all of that kind of stuff. It'll be brilliant at that. Go to, if you're kind of new to these things, go to prompts.chat and understand how you can tell ChatGPT to act like a philosopher or act like a humanities specialist or a sociologist or a social anthropologist. Sort of get it focused into your area of interest and then start interacting with it. It is probably way smarter than you realize on those issues particularly. I just entered the room when you were speaking about PowerPoint slides. What AI app did you use? What was I talking about? I don't know what I was talking about, Becky. I haven't used any AI apps. There's the one that I know is called, begins with a T. I can't remember what it is now. I haven't used any of the AI PowerPoint making things. I have used ChatGPT to give me PowerPoint outlines. So like presentation outlines. I have done that. But that's all those tools that are making PowerPoint slides they're combining two different technologies. They're basically, it's a ChatGPT prompt to say, write an outline and then write the copy of the slides. And then they're taking the copy of the slides and sending that to an image generation tool, probably Bing or DALL-E. And they're generating the image based on the content of the slide from DALL-E. So it's probably two OpenAI calls. It's probably an OpenAI call for the outline. I'm trying to think how I would do it. Yeah, I'd probably do the outline first as one call. Then I would do the text of each slide, and then I would send the text of each slide to generate the image of each slide. And then they're just assembling that. So you can accomplish that just using ChatGPT. But if you want to go find that, go to that bottom URL, futurepedia.io. I bet you there's 200 different PowerPoint. Type in a sentence, get a PowerPoint out of it. I bet there's 200 of them in there. Spizza is a great business idea. Yeah, man. Lol, Kyle, you are so funny. Hey, all. Hey, Joy. Thank you. Y'all see the future, man? Y'all see the future, man? Yo, dude. So I was playing with the AI, and I saw the future, dude. Yeah. It's fucking gnarly, dude. Yeah. All right. I am clearly sugar deprived. I gotta go make dinner soon. Beatles, Led Zeppelin, steal music. Led Zeppelin stole from Beatles? Maybe? I don't know. They were more bitching about it. When you got a singer like Robert Plant, I don't care if you stole the music. That whole band, I hope you're not bussing on Led Zeppelin. They're fucking miraculous. I mean, the Beatles are too, but If AI Vector analyzed all my social posts, they think I'm a socialist Dom footballer. Well, it's like, hey, whatever floats your boat. I mean, I think one of the things that's sort of the creepy, scariest the most to me is that I have normalized in my mind probably 20 years ago, fuck it. I'm just going to give all my shit to Google. Let them monetize it. But I kind of like put it into the machine thinking like, yeah, like no one's ever going to really look at that. And now these AI tools come along, and it's going to be able to look at like our past 4 decades of just nonsense and ridiculousness and just go, hey, want to see what an idiot you were in 1987? Here you go. It's like, oh my God, that's coming. So, oh well. Mission Impossible Barbie or Oppenheimer. Mission Impossible Barbie or Oppenheimer. So it sounds like for me, Oppenheimer is the one I'm excited to see, just because there's an IMAX version of it that he did in like, it's not quite 4:3, but it's just beyond that. Maybe it is 4, but I don't know, 4:3. But it's he shot it in IMAX, but to make it look like it was on the TV. Because that's what everyone learned about all that shit from. So that's the one I want to. If of those 3, that's the one. Her is a great movie, already in China. You said that before. Psychotherapy is going to get better. Yep, I think it is. Will ease loneliness in our society, especially with the elderly. Totally agree. Imagine the magic robot pets will be. Yep, totally agree. Yeah, robot pets are going to be amazing, and we're going to allow. There's a company out of Boulder right now that's got this. It's kind of weird, but it's kind of cool. So it's like a mannequin head, but with no facial expression, but it's got a projector on the inside of it, so it projects a face onto like a blank mask. So this goes back to like Greeks and the masks in theater, right? So what the object is like, it's like a bust, right? Where it's got a platform that's got a speaker in it. So it's like an Alexa speaker. It's got a camera that's looking at you. And then it's got this face, and the face can react and blink and do all that, but it's just a projection behind this mask. And so I could see something like that being, like I could see it having different modes. Like it's got pet mode where it's like a cute puppy and it's just happy to see you all the time. Or it could be therapist mode where it's like, yeah, go on, tell me more. And right. And so I could see us having these agents that kind of shapeshift and have different personas. So it doesn't have to be everything for everyone. I could have 20 different things that, depending on what I want to do, it'll act like my travel agent, or it'll act like my therapist, or it'll act like my friend, or it'll act like my pet. That could be kind of cool. Like, I mean, right? I think. I don't know. How can the average guy utilize ChatGPT? I don't code. You don't need to code. So go. Here, I'll flip these. Coding is not necessary. In fact, what you're doing with these tools is you're kind of programming with the English language, is the best way to think about it. So if you haven't played with ChatGPT, that top URL, chat.openai.com, is ChatGPT. These other 2 things, you can go to them as well, but that's the real deal. And then the thing down below here, prompts.chat, that's just it's a Word document that teaches you how to talk to this thing. And just go there, go to prompts.chat, and it will sort of teach you what these things are and what prompting is. And prompting is basically just it's a geek's way of saying, you're going to have a conversation with this thing. And think of it less like a Google search and more like someone just gave you an intern who needs a lot of direction, but is a savant and knows everything. That's kind of what this thing is. And so for you as an average guy that's not a coder, depending on what you do, like I'll give you a good example. There's the maintenance guy in the building that I work at, a guy named John Roberts, really nice guy. He's using ChatGPT to create a bot that teaches other maintenance guys how to troubleshoot maintenance problems in the building. So he's got a bot for HVAC. He's got a bot for electricity, for plumbing, for AV systems, things like that. And so he's using it to like troubleshoot things within the building. And then from that gave him the idea to do this for other people. So take anything that you know and start asking that thing about the shit that you know. So if you know cars, or if you know lawn care, or if you know woodworking, or it doesn't matter, or if you know project management or how to deliver shit, anything, start interacting with that and asking it questions like, you know, how could I do this better? How could I make it more efficient? Could you give me tips on, you know, a more organized delivery system that would make my routes more efficient? It literally doesn't matter. But go to prompts.chat. What you'll see there is it's a whole long list of personas where you can tell ChatGPT to act like that kind of specialist. So the guy, John, the maintenance guy in my building, said, I want you to act like, you know, a master plumber that can help me troubleshoot a plumbing problem. And it did. And it was really good. So you don't need to know programming. And so just start with that and it'll help. All right. AI Learning Lab. I need a business consultant to help with my small business. So you can just go to ChatGPT and start interacting with it like it's a business consultant. There's an app out there. There's another TikToker named Mackenzie Bose. He's got an app called GPT Boss. And the basic idea with GPT Boss is he's done all the pre-prompting already. So he's got a business consultant in there, and he's got a marketing specialist in there, and he's got an accountant in there. He's got all these different, he calls them employees that you can hire. And I think you can use it for free for a certain amount of credits, and then you just buy more credits basically. But go play with GPT Boss. I think it's gptboss.com. But he's a really nice guy, and yeah, it's good. It may help. Next steps for Storyvine. Well, so there's two things. One is just figuring out, looking at what our current business is and projecting out a year and saying, what of our current value proposition goes up in value, what stays the same, and what drops. And so I think I've got that figured out. So right now, one of the key components of Storyvine, that's our logo, by the way. See? Yeah. Storyvine? Huh? One of our key value propositions is automation, which a year from now is going to be a big fat zero in terms of value. Everything's going to be automated. Nobody's going to give a shit. So right now we talk about, we have auto magic editing, and people are like, ooh, that's magic. That's fantastic. A year from now, they'll be like, yeah, what else? So I think that goes down in value. We're very good at getting human beings to authentically share their stories powerfully. I think storytelling and authenticity go up in value. So one thing I need to do is look at how I'm talking about the business and shift that narrative so that it's future proof. So that's one thing. And then the second thing is, how do I take these generative AI tools and expand what we're offering? So right now, when you use our system, you get back a video. Well, why not get back a video and a whole bunch of related content with it? Like, here's a description of the video, and here's hashtags for that video, and here's tweets about that video, and da-da-da-da-da-da. Well, that's relatively straightforward to do. And then how do I roll those two things together, the messaging and the new features, to actually create something new? So that's what's next for Storyvine. All right. I hear pans clanking. I got to run. That's wow about the screenplay. Cool. I'm watching your TikTok and ignoring you. Thanks for everything. That's story of my life. I knew you were. I knew words were coming out of your face. I have no idea what you said. Do you pay for ChatGPT? I do. Kyle, I sent you a DM. Okay, great. I'll check it out. I do respond to those, so feel free to do that. All right, listen, I'm going to run. I know I didn't get to a bunch of questions here, but it's been great hanging with you. I'll probably come back later. I got to go do dinner, ribs on the grill, and stuff. I got to do dad stuff. I'm going to go do dad stuff. Peace. Mm-mm-mm-mm.